Hello, eighth grade science students. We're going to try to continue one of our traditions, which is Science News Monday, while we are on the sort of hiatus for the COVID-19 outbreak. So here's what I'd like you to do. There are three headlines on the screen. The first one is Saved by a Shovel. The second one is Cleaner Air. The third one is Ideas for Isolation. Your job is to pick one of those three and write a comment below in Canvas about what you think it's about, kind of like you normally would on the entry task. And then once you've done that, watch the remainder of this video. Following that, you'll reply to one of the comments that another student has made, making a comment on their idea or congratulating them for being so close. Just kind of give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what's happening in the world of science. Obviously, during this time, it's going to be dominated by information about the COVID-19 outbreak. I'm going to try to not necessarily avoid those things, but not have it dominate too much. So I'll try to find other things that are going on in science for us to talk about. But it's likely that there will be some opportunities to talk about that as well. So go ahead and pause the video, write your comment about 1, 2, or 3. Tell people which one it is and which one you've picked and what you think it might be about. And then you can watch the remainder of the video and I'll kind of fill you in from there. All right, hopefully you pause the video. So let's talk about all three headlines. So the first one is Saved by a Shovel. And this one is about the Mars lander called InSight. It landed on Mars, I think, in November 2018, so not too long ago. And a piece of it got stuck while it was trying to kind of dig into the surface of Mars, I believe. And they used a second part on the rover to sort of knock that part loose, and it's the shovel piece of it, so that they couldn't figure out any other way to solve the problem. So they went to the drastic measure and hit it with basically hit one part of it with a shovel, and it ended up jarring it loose without doing any significant damage. So they're pretty excited about that. So kind of silly that something that advanced technologically would be solved by just hitting with a shovel. Second one, Cleaner Air. The interesting thing about most science happenings or events is that there are often unintended consequences. Now, those unintended consequences are often predictable and sometimes they're not. So one that I think is a little more predictable is as more people are self-isolating and staying home and avoiding going out into large public gatherings and avoiding travel overall, one thing we're finding is that fewer and fewer polluting gases are being released. So the levels of air pollution are actually decreasing globally. I think we saw it first in China, and now we're seeing it in other areas where there tend to be more of the stay-at-home, self-isolate orders. So if we scroll down in this article, I believe they have a map at some point. This shows a little bit of this. Maybe they don't. So I'll post this article. There's at least there's maybe a little video that goes with this as well, so you get an idea of that. Last one, ideas for isolation. So I opened up by saying we're not going to focus too much on the outbreak, but turns out we're going to have 2 out of 3 this time. So ideas for isolation. Scott Kelly is an astronaut. He's one of the men who spent the most total number of days in space on the space station. And he has provided a few ideas on how to deal with being isolated. And he had a few pointers in this particular New York Times article. And a lot of them I think are relevant to you guys as you're maybe stuck at home or not able to go out as much as you normally would. So he had some key pieces of advice, like have a schedule, but you don't have to stick to it. Those breaks in your schedule are important. Find some new hobbies, find some things to do that are interesting to you. Learn a new skill. He also talked a lot about routines. So trying to have that consistent routine bedtime, even though you maybe didn't before, but having those routines, get up about the same time, go to bed about the same time, can be helpful. He also suggested journaling. And the other thing he said is that even up in the space station, he's not by himself, not even counting the people up in the space station with him. He found that he gets lots of opportunities to communicate with family and friends. So your job at this point is to reply to a comment, and there should be one other kind of core assignment you would say, or other supplemental assignment besides this posted on